Welcome back to Deb's True Crime Notebook, where we read the documents for you so you don't have to. This is part 2 of the video released yesterday. Has the defense abandoned the Odin theory? This is where they get into talking about Ron Logan and the letter that was written by his cellmate, Ricky Davis. Let's see what it has to say. Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis before May 15, 2017 is newly discovered evidence entitling Mr. Allen to a new trial. Dr. Kaur was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsies on Liberty German and Abby Williams. His original opinion, held for years about how Libby German and Abby Williams died, was that 2 weapons were used, one a serrated blade and the other a straight-edged blade. For the first time at trial, having had a eureka moment at this tool bench, Dr. Kaur opined that the girls could have been killed by a single box cutter rather than 2 different knives. Defendant's Exhibit 4A, as attested to by Matthew Hoffman in Defendant's Exhibit 4, is a redacted copy of a tip from Orion database of tips dated May 15, 2017. In that tip, which the state has always had, Ron Logan is alleged to have confessed to Ricky Davis sometime before May 15, 2017, while they were in prison together, that he had killed Liberty German and Abby Williams. The material part of Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis, as it appears Exhibit 4A, is reproduced below. Logan confessed to Ricky step by step of killing 2 girls. Logan told Ricky how he burned his clothes in a fire pit and where it was located, used box cutters and struggled with one of the girls and thought drops of blood from his nose ended up on her clothes. Ricky also advised that he killed the older girl first. That is a footnote. Also a footnote, Mr. Allen also said that he shot the girls in the back and buried them in a shallow grave. Neither of the girls were shot in the back, and neither was buried in a shallow grave. Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis, as reflected in the tip in the Orion database and made a mere 3 months after the girls were killed, was detailed. Law enforcement followed up on the tip. Defendant's Exhibit 4B, as attested to by Matthew Hoffman in Exhibit 4, accurately reproduces the handwritten notes taken by Indiana State Police First Sergeant P. Hansard about his interview with Ricky Davis on June 21, 2017 at the Newcastle Correctional Facility regarding Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis. Those handwritten notes of First Sergeant Hansard are attached to Indiana State Police Detective N. Wolf's lead narrative summary cover sheet as it was provided to the defense in discovery. First, Sergeant Hansard's notes of his interview with Ricky Davis about Ron Logan's confession provide even more detail. Hard as they are to decipher and subject to debate and correction, those notes reveal the following about Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis. Page 1 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. Okay, as a side note here, that handwriting is incredibly difficult to read, and so what they've done is, to their best ability, put a side note over here showing what they believe this note says. So I'm going to read it. It seems to say, talking about knowing one of their dads. And let me backtrack. These are the things that Ricky Davis said Ron Logan told him. Okay, here we go. It seems to say walking and talking about knowing one of their dads. To walk with them, one of them wanted to turn around, grabbed youngest shoulder. It's okay. Oldest freaked out. One said something about calling police. Sexual attack wasn't true. Originally not trying to go rape them. Paranoid about probation. Felt like he crossed the line when he grabbed the youngest one. The top half of the page 2 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced as well. The bottom half of the page duplicates the top half. Again, these are notes. It seems to say he started talking. Ironic, they should have been in school. Knew one of their moms waitressed at a bar. Animals walked with them, willing to go check out horses. Plus he, XXX, not sure what that is. He told them he had rabbits in the barn. Walked through trail in woods. Oldest paranoid, didn't want to go, and the youngest wanted to see the horses. The top half of page 3 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. Once again, they've done their best to reproduce what is being written here. It seems to say, oldest turned to help youngest. Oldest started looking, kicking. Youngest seemed, and there's a question mark there. They're not sure what it says. He now grabs oldest. He said he got hit on the nose, scared he got blood on one of the girls, pulled box cutter out, slit oldest one in an artery. Youngest was scared, etc. Took little girl with him for a while, never said where. He said he cut her too, cut both necks. The bottom half of page 3 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. It seemed to say he left again, came back later in evening, searching going on. Later on late hours, tried to move oldest one to area not going to be found. Placed where four-wheelers go. Burned his clothes in a burn pile, hiking, walking boots, gloves, and bag. The top half of page 4, Exhibit 4B, is reproduced below. It seems to say, soles of boots be in burn pile. Next morning, 2 other girls knocked on door, asked to search on property, felt weird if he said no. He let them take off, got a hold of family member, and got out of the area. The bottom half of page 4, Exhibit 4B, is reproduced below. It seems to say, first time he's seen them from property, home, etc., guns, etc. During struggle, youngest girl, not blank there, happened to friend blank to stand there. Head, neck, artery. Defendant's Exhibit 4C is a handwritten note signed by Ricky Davis dated June 21, 2017, the same day First Sergeant Hansard interviewed him. The handwritten note is attached to the same lead narrative summary cover sheet and is contained in the same file as First Sergeant Hansard's handwritten notes that are Exhibit 4B, Exhibit 4. Ricky Davis's handwritten note about Ron Logan's confession to him says, Mr. Logan has made reference to the killings in Delphi, Indiana. He told me he was one who killed those girls, that it got out of hand. He walked with them in the woods to his property and the girls wanted to turn back. Said something about walking the, and there's a blank here. He grabbed the youngest girl to reassure her it was okay. However, they panicked and he also panicked. He indicated he ended up cutting the oldest with a box cutter. He went on telling me that he killed both of them because it was took too far. So in addition to other details that fit the known facts, Ron Logan confessed to Ricky Davis that he used box cutters to kill the girls. If instead of for the first time at Mr. Allen's trial, Dr. Kaur said 7 years earlier, said the girls could have been killed by a box cutter, there would certainly have been probable cause to arrest and charge Ron Logan with the girls' murders, as it was the FBI 2 months before Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis had obtained a judicial finding of probable cause to search Ron Logan's property. Under the circumstances, Dr. Kaur's trial testimony about a box cutter possibly being used to murder the girls makes Ron Logan's confession to Ricky Davis newly discovered evidence that would either be admissible through Ricky Davis, Indiana Evidence 804B3, or through First Sergeant Hansard's under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Holmes versus South Carolina, 547 U.S. 319, 324, 25, 2006. Kubsch versus Neal, 838, F3D, 845, 857, 7th Circuit, 2016. Ron Logan's confession exculpates Mr. Allen and would probably produce a different result at a trial. Accordingly, the court should either vacate Mr. Allen's conviction or set this motion for hearing. 3. Defendant's Exhibit 5, the affidavit of Stacey Eldridge, states that dirt or water damage to the phone could not have caused the auxiliary jack on Libby German's phone to log wired headphone plugged in and wired headphones unplugged. Ms. Eldridge's expert opinion is newly discovered evidence that would probably produce a different result at a new trial. At trial, Mr. Allen introduced evidence through the testimony of Stacey Eldridge, a digital and mobile forensic expert, that someone plugged wired headphones into the auxiliary jack of Liberty German's phone at 5:44 p.m. on February 13, 2017, and unplugged it at 2:32 p.m. the same day. To counter this, the state offered the results of a seat of the pants Google search by First Sergeant Cecil, the state's phone expert. According to First Sergeant Cecil, and the Google hearsay told him, in his expert opinion, the log on Liberty German's cell phone showing wired headphones were plugged into the auxiliary jack at 5:44 p.m. on February 13, 2017, and unplugged at 10:32 p.m. that same day could have been caused by dirt or water damage to Liberty German's cell phone. The defense had no opportunity to counter First Sergeant Cecil's expert opinion, courtesy of Google. The court should read Ms. Eldridge's affidavit, Exhibit 5, in its entirety, but the short version of Ms. Eldridge's actual expert opinion is, nothing in the data on Liberty German's phone indicated there had been water damage. None of the reports or extractions related to Liberty German's phone created by law enforcement officers reflect dirt or water damage to the phone. Photographs of Liberty German's phone taken by the Indiana State Police did not show the phone to be wet, dirty, or covered by debris. Ms. Eldridge is unaware of any scientific or technological research suggesting that water or dirt damage to an iPhone 6S would cause the phone to inaccurately log wired headphones in or wired headphones out. According to the Apple Health data on Liberty German's iPhone 6S, the phone stopped moving at 2:32 p.m. on February 13, 2017. At trial, the state contended Liberty German and Abby Williams died close to that time, and Abby Williams hid the phone under her body before she died. The state also provided testimony by former Delphi Police Chief Steve Mullen and Indiana State Police Lieutenant Jerry Holman. There was no evidence that Richard Allen returned to the location where the bodies were found after allegedly being spotted by Sarah Carbaugh on County Road 300 North at approximately 3:50 p.m. on February 13, 2017. If Ms. Eldridge's actual expert opinion that wired headphones were plugged into Liberty German's auxiliary port at 5:44 p.m. on February 13, 2017, and unplugged almost 5 hours later were credited by a jury, the state's narrative is impossible. Someone other than Richard Allen was handling Liberty German's phone multiple times long after the state contended Mr. Allen left the scene before 4 p.m. on February 13, 2017. Ms. Eldridge's opinion that dirt or water could not have caused Liberty German's phone to log wired headphones being plugged into and being unplugged from the phone on February 13, 2017 exculpates Mr. Allen and would probably produce a different result at a new trial. Accordingly, the court should either vacate Mr. Allen's convictions or set this motion for a hearing. The matters set out and attested to above, taken individually or cumulatively, entitle Mr. Allen either to have his convictions vacated or to have a hearing on those matters set. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, Mr. Allen respectfully requests that the court either vacate this conviction or set matters above for hearing and for all other just and proper relief in the premises. It's respectfully submitted, counsel for Richard Allen, Andrew Baldwin, Jennifer Auger, and Bradley Rosie. That concludes the letter from Ricky Davis and information about Ron Logan's potential involvement in the murders of Libby and Abby. So let's take a look at some of the things that were said. First off, we have to give some credence to and look into the fact that a box cutter was mentioned by Mr. Davis back in 2017. My immediate question is, did Ron Logan tell him that law enforcement had asked him about a box cutter? Did Dr. Kaur know at that point in which the letter was written that there was a box cutter involved? I need to check dates on that. Have to look back in my notes. If any of you have the exact date that Dr. Kaur made that announcement or came up with that opinion, let me know. Also, the youngest wanted to see the horses, although Libby was saying, no, 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 let's turn around, I don't want to go. That doesn't sound like what we have heard as a description of Abby's personality. Abby's own grandmother said that Abby was more timid, quiet, and that she would have been afraid. I just don't see that Abby would be the one wanting them to press on and go with Mr. Logan if there was some concern by Libby, if there was fear. Also, the information that he had unalived Libby and then taken Abby with him for some period of time conflicts with what they have said in trial, that Abby actually died first. So that's a conflict for me in my mind. Along with the fact that Ron Logan allegedly told Ricky Davis that he used a box cutter, Richard Allen also confessed to using a box cutter and that he threw it away in a CVS dumpster. Ricky Davis also claimed that Mr. Logan burned his clothing in a burn pile on his property. So if there were searchers all over looking for Libby and Abby, and people on the defense side claimed that that particular side, Ron Logan's property, was being searched, if all of that was going on, and there were two girls missing, and you saw smoke or smelled a fire, which you would in that area, wouldn't you go and investigate that situation to see if it was the girls? Those are a few of the things that I've thought about, questions that came to my mind. There are more, but I want to leave some of those questions and thoughts to you guys too. So please, like, subscribe, ring the bell for all notifications, share this with your friends, and most importantly, leave me a comment. What is your view on this, no matter what it is? And also, continue to be respectful. There are still a few people that are kind of bordering non-respectability, but I'm asking you to continue to be respectful, post an intelligent, kind comment, and let's have an intelligent conversation about all of this. We'll see you next time on Deb's True Crime Notebook.